Awesome.
Thank you.
And we are live on the SideQuest live for December 15th. December 15th, 2021.
The 15th, baby.
That's right. We are 10 days from Christmas, and I'm so glad that everybody's joining in to watch us because because NFT's the season, my friend.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god. Goodness gracious. How are well, first of all, I'm Dolly Domofsky, as you can see by my name right there. Look, I point to the right spot, but you can't see because my stupid dang it. I always F this up. This person, Taylor Bliss.
That's me.
This person, Zach Quest.
That's me. Oh, Taylor's gone.
On purpose.
No, I'm still here.
Just has to pick his nose right now.
No, I'm rubbing my eyeball if you got to know.
And that's totally cool. Hey, gents, how you guys doing?
Great. Amazing.
Oh, tired. So tired.
Why are you tired? It's the end of the season? End of the
I played a lot of Final Fantasy XIV to get to this point, and I have gone to bed before 10 o'clock for like 4 days straight ever since I beat it.
So you got okay, and we'll get into that. We will definitely get into
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We are going to start with some news, though. There hasn't been a ton of news since the last show, which was the Game Awards show. Which, let me just start by saying this. Sorry, I'm like spitting all over my poor keyboard here, making it nasty.
We actually could not tell, so you didn't have to tell us that, but
yeah,
that's fine.
Now we know.
Yeah, because I'm drinking some adult beverages.
Coca-Cola.
No, Coca-Cola. Jeff, I know you, Jeff Keighley. I know you listen to this and you watch this podcast. It's your favorite podcast. All right, everybody else, turn your radios down. I don't want you guys to hear this. Jeff, this is just for Jeff Keighley. Jeff, okay, between you and us three here, you told us that if we were selected co-streamers, that we could stream it without any problem. Right, homeboy, I've already had 2 blocks on our SideQuesting account, preventing us from having the video of our stream along, our co-stream, up on the YouTubes, unless I clip sections out. And it's for really weird things. One, I think, actually for 3 things. One was the Matrix, that whole section.
Okay. That makes sense.
Thank WB. The second one was the Halo TV trailer. We actually got
Paramount. Paramount came at us for that one.
Yep. And then the third one was, I don't even know what the third one was, or just a string of letters and numbers, but it said no, they have the rights in all the countries. And dude, you sent me this. Look at that. It says, it says, thank you so much for signing up to be an official co-streamer. I feel special. I got this because along with that came this, a real press scan to stream official 2021 co-streamer badge. You sent this to us, Jeff, and then you let us get blocked. And
sent it to us, Jeff.
I don't know why that. Just kidding. Hey, the Game Awards last week, you 2 beautiful young gentlemen did not get a chance to join us because y'all were busy and all the fun stuff. But there were a bunch of bits of news, and I know JJ, Sam, Rexley, and I kind of went over everything, and you should really watch that stream once it gets back up there in a few minutes here. What did you guys see out of the whole show? And if you need a little refresher, let me know. But was there anything out of that show in general? What were your general thoughts about this show, Game Awards? Let's start with that.
Okay,
general thoughts.
General thoughts. It was bad.
Okay,
that's kind of my. The initial. So I thought it was really funny how Jeff went from like, we're not going to stand for abuse in game industry, and here's Ubisoft for their showing off their next game. I was like, oh man, Jeff, man, like. Yeah,
then right after that, let's throw off the Star Wars game by Quantum.
There wasn't any game announcements that I was interested in, which is rare because there's a lot. There's like it's
no
really
rare wasn't there.
It's really easy to make me interested in a game, but there's literally nothing besides Alan Wake 2, maybe. But that's like a 2023, 24 game.
Yeah, I mean, like I was excited to see it, but I didn't really see it. You know.
I don't know.
Saw
it was
a name.
stinky. was just kind of a stinky show. Like I am glad I was playing a game on my main monitor and not just like dedicating my time to watching it, because I would have been kind of mad. I would have felt like I got like my time stolen, like wasted. So
Yeah, there wasn't anything new. I mean, yeah, Alan Wake 2, a game that we all knew was happening. The
I've known
Plague
about for like 5 years now.
yeah, the Plague Tale sequel, which kind of that surprised everybody.
But that
But
was shown off
Why?
at E3.
Yeah, wait, why did that
was it?
surprise
Okay,
anybody?
was Requiem?
Yeah, no, we knew about Plague Tale.
Yeah.
Never mind. But really, the best stuff came during was it the pre-show that had the Dune Spice Wars game announced?
Yeah, the Dune game seems cool.
Yeah, that's what I think was pretty awesome, because yeah, it came during the pre-show, but that looked kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, the Wonder Woman game. I guess maybe the Wonder Woman game was that announcement was kind of cool because
actually, the Suicide Squad game, I was actually surprised how fun it looked.
Yeah,
but I'm also apprehensive because I'm used to seeing those types of gameplay trailers.
Oh, sure.
So I'm because the movement seems really fun. So I just want to see more of that game, but that game seems interesting. I'm trying to think. There was any other games. I think the Sonic stuff was actually the best part of the show, which is kind of weird. But like the
Sonic stuff.
Yeah, they're like ads that they did, or like it was really funny. I thought that was like the best part of the show. But yeah, it was kind of a bummer. I'm usually pretty excited for the Game Awards, so
yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I think we were talking about it on the live stream as well, as that it was I mean, the whole purpose of the Game Awards, let me just say this. Jeff Keighley is as animated on a stage like a one of those posable wooden art figurines. He's not a hype man. He doesn't do good on stage. Jeff organizes like crazy. He has a lot of great connections. He puts out great content. But I don't think he's got a stage presence. I guess maybe that's what I'm saying. He doesn't really command a stage. But I think
he actually does okay. I don't think, and I don't think that his stage presence was the problem of the Game Awards this year.
Well, no, not this year. But what I mean is, last year the way the Game Awards, because they were live streamed last year as well, obviously they were digital. I felt like that worked out better towards what he's capable of, what his strengths are. And I think last year's show was my favorite out of all the Game Awards shows. Last year's was terrific.
Because live shows suck. That's what we've realized.
I guess maybe that's the point I'm getting to. Yeah, the live shows aren't as good. They're less scripted, more things. There's more fuck ups. There's more issues that can happen along the way. And
yeah, I mean, like the thing is that when you have a primarily pre-recorded event, you get like people can do more, right? Because there's less risk. And at its core, the video game industry is an industry of creatives, right?
Yeah.
So when you pit that group of people and that group of talent with an opportunity to do a lower risk but higher with a higher degree of artistry that they can do something with, it probably is going to be more interesting, realistically. That's the reason why oh gosh, of course I had it in my brain. And then the one publisher that's been doing the running skit for like 4 years,
Devolver Digital.
Yeah, with Devolver, with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not issuing my opinion of it, but it is definitely different and weird.
Yeah. And you watch it because of how weird it is.
Yeah, I recently at one point went back to be like, tell me about this thing that they were doing, and I watched all of them because like I didn't really get it. I'm not sure I do now, but yeah. I mean, the thing is that like, does anybody that watch do we really want an Oscars for video games? I don't think so. I don't think that anybody necessarily cares about it.
I think the one thing the Game Awards people really don't realize is normal people, the normal video game player
Normies,
don't know about it at all. Like I was talking to people at work who play games who like are like they have Game Pass, they have PCs and stuff, so they're into gaming. I was like, "Are y'all gonna watch the Game Awards?" And they're like, "What's that?" It's like I've never heard of that. I was like, "Oh, you don't know who Jeff Keighley is?" Or like, "Who's Jeff Keighley?" It's like there's definitely a different there's a different
Yeah.
like audience that isn't the average gamers, more so for the hardcore like journalistic type people like us. Like that's what the show is for. And Jeff makes it like it's for the average person, which is kind of not what it should be.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because like why try and tailor it for that audience that isn't watching, right? And maybe you can make the argument that you have to build from somewhere. I mean, Video Game Awards didn't exist 7 years ago, right? Or 7 years ago was the first one, something around that range. You don't jump into primetime NBC on a Saturday night from nothing. So you have to start somewhere. I don't know what his vision is. I can't speak to it. I would assume it's probably something along those lines or something similar to it. G4's rebirth
back,
might help in that regard. Was it aired anywhere?
Not on
cable
TV.
television?
No. In the past, it was. The original Game Awards were on Spike TV, remember, way back in the day.
That's right. So I think that what's probably going to happen is that with G4 is back, and I would expect that we're going to see it probably next year.
I would hope, yeah. I'm actually surprised it wasn't this year, to be honest.
I am too. You would think that G4 would probably try and make an effort to... I mean, it's so nascent at the moment that it would be a very, very big value add to get
very easy content ad for them, yeah.
And like, what else lines up more than that? I don't know, but anyway.
The new G4 like branding is actually kind of like the cynical kind of gamer now.
Yeah.
So it's more so, and I think the Game Awards is kind of the antithesis to that. So I don't know if it would mesh because their new stuff is very like cynical and like negative, which is what the Twitter gaming kind of thing is. So it's kind of more so that side. So I don't know if they would like mesh.
I feel like from the reaction I saw from Twitter was folks saying, "All right, cool, a lot of great trailers, but the actual awards part are just kind of you blow through the awards, and the developers have like 30 seconds to say, like less than the Oscars or Grammys, which are also 3 hours long." And so people were a little peeved, I guess, or a little dismissive because this is a show about the development of games. Or let me rephrase that. This is a show celebrating video games and development of games, and you're giving awards to developers, but you don't give the developers time to go through their thanks. Necessarily.
Oh, dude, don't
However,
get me started.
I mean, that is what DICE is for. DICE is the major. That is the Oscars. That's the Academy. But you don't see that streamed on. You're never going to see it on a TV station, not for a long time, because DICE isn't trying to do that, especially right now with COVID. But like I see the Game Awards being like the MTV Music Awards and the MTV Movie Awards. That's what the Game Awards are. It's like you get people up there, just be silly, to dress silly, to act silly, to throw some celebs up there. And
right, which is why the current iteration looks like it is trying too hard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not embracing and
either go silly or go serious,
right? And I've said this before. I mean, Jeff Keighley did a very good job of packaging a select number of game announcements and world premiere trailers into an award show. There was no specific pedigree other than Keighley's own notoriety, which, as Zach already mentioned, is limited to a specific sphere that lend its specific credence to like why the Video Game Awards is any different than any outlet naming their game of the year, right? And obviously it's evolved, but why does it have to? why can't it be just more fun?
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Can we talk about Doug Bowser's speech real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I missed Doug Bowser's
Dude,
speech, but I've
he
heard I've heard
he
people
literally
talk about it.
he literally was like Metroid Samus, like whatever, Dread is an action adventure game that brings the heart pace, like just like the average
The PR,
blurb from like a
the back
PR
of the
like
box.
press like thing. I was like, what is this? This isn't an acceptance speech. This is just the president saying this game is a game that is an action adventure game,
Right,
and it
right.
won.
Makes you miss Reggie a little bit.
Yeah, well, Reggie was there, and they just called
He
him
was there.
Reggie.
Yeah, I mean he
was
presented
cool.
an award, if I
Yeah.
recall.
He said "and Reggie" instead of so that was cool. But yeah, it made me really mad. I was like, dude, what is this?
I think it's I think overall live award shows in general they need to go through a change. They need to do either get serious or go goofy and really embrace technology, because you're going to see the numbers were the highest streaming numbers we ever had, and they're again, that's great PR speak, but the impact isn't. That's not a number of talking about the impact. That's not a number that says, look how many people we've affected with this award show. This is just, look how many screens were streaming this award show. I had 3 screens in my house streaming because we were co-streaming, and I had my phone to watch our stream, and I had the other TV. So actual numbers don't really mean as much. It's all a sales pitch. So yeah, I don't know.
Here's the thing: is like I get where my earlier point was about how it started as a world premiere. Like, let's lean into the fact that we know that this is a thing for trailers. Like, everybody knows it. Do you need the extra 12 categories that when it returns from a quote unquote commercial break, you say, okay, and this person won this, and then you just it's like, yeah, there's 6 awards, and you're like, why did it even matter? Condense it, make it more succinct, put a bigger fanfare onto the bigger awards. It does. You don't
do those
have
awards
to cover
in a pre-show. There's plenty of opportunity for the half-hour pre-show that they had that showed a few of the reels, but that's something that you could do in a pre-show or in a news release to say this is who won this.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that? What is it? There's like an indie game showcase this summer. It's like the Wholesome Games showcase or something.
Wholesome games are great.
It's like every developer got maybe like 5 minutes to sit down and like talk about their game. Something like that, where the person who wins and gives like a minute-long speech about their game and like the things that they went through according to the certain
if we're talking about really, cool. Sound design of the year, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about, or I mean, it's cool to hear them thank the people that helped them, but hey, why was your game good at sound design?
Yeah, there's no game like sounds or clips or anything playing either. They just name off the games and they say there's nothing adding to it. It's just like blah 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 here, and that's it.
Yep. Well, that's it for sure, and we'll see what
anyway.
Happens
frustrations coming from a place of love, because we all believe that it could be even more and greater than it is.
And we have fun with it every year. Anybody that watches the stream knows, we have a blast doing that live stream, and we'll continue to do it. And there have been bad years, there have been good years. If you're a Nintendo fan, you probably have a lot of bad years when it comes, especially this year. But you need to you always need to go in understanding that there's a 99% chance that you're not going to get what you're expecting, that you really want out of the Game Awards, whether it's a Game of the Year win or whatever, and just kind of deal with that way. But something that we weren't expecting, just kidding, something that we were absolutely expecting is that Splinter Cell is making a comeback. Finally, the much rumored Splinter Cell remake is in the works.
Well, most of the other Tom Clancy's aren't doing very well, so let's go back to the one let's go back to the one that was good.
Yeah. And also, hey, don't you guys don't like NFTs? Splinter Cell coming back. No, they're Ubisoft announced today with a little bit of a video that kind of showed a little bit of the history of Splinter Cell. They're just talking about, hey, we're remaking Splinter Cell, and we're going to use the Snowdrop engine, that's kind of their big engine that's powering, I think, the Division projects and the Avatar and Star Wars and all that kind of stuff. So it's their big heavyweight game engine, but they're calling it a remake, but they're really kind of rebooting almost. It's like the Dead Space.
Another
Dead
one?
Space, yeah. Well, it's a Dead Space style remake where it's a remake / reboot because they're going to pull in elements from other stuff. They're going to put things in a new engine. They're going to have new dialogue. Yeah. So it's, consider it like Final Fantasy VII. I'm hopeful it's going to be like that. But yeah. So anyway, Splinter Cell's coming back with Sam Fisher and all that. So I'm kind of excited. What about you? Do you guys Splinter Cell fans?
Who's Sam Fisher?
Wait, what am I saying?
I actually really liked the co-op
Sam
stuff.
Fisher's the character. He's just not in anything. But yeah,
I like the co-op from the later Splinter Cells.
Yeah,
that was the most interesting part.
I love Blacklist. I love Blacklist.
Yeah, for that reason. Other than that, I have not spent that much time in any of them.
I'm trying to remember the Splinter Cell where you interrogate a guy and stab his hand with a knife on a tree stump, and then you beat the shit out of him.
Was that your weekend?
No, it's Splinter Cell Conviction. I think they're like, we're rebooting the series, but
that's right, because Michael Ironside wasn't in that one, right? That was the
it was somebody. It was the new guy. Yeah. Whatever.
So there you go. Splinter Cell's coming back. I know a lot of folks are looking forward to playing more Splinter Cell. You don't want to play it in VR. You don't want the mobile games. So there you go. A couple quick more hits because there hasn't been a ton of news. You guys heard of these things called non-fungible tokens?
Yeah.
Were you guys really excited about Stalker 2 coming out?
Dude, shut up.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't really have that much of an opinion about Stalker 2 before this event.
Stalker 2 was a lot of people didn't even know Stalker existed. Stalker 2 is on the way. It's the sequel to Stalker, an older game. But they're going to sell an NFT. The developers are selling an NFT that lets you basically become an NPC in the game. You're going to be a metahuman.
I mean, I will say my one opinion about Stalker is that it lacked metaverse.
It lacks metaverse. Now with 100% more metaverse. But
okay, well then we're in.
I'm in.
GSC Game World is the developer, and they're saying this NFT is going to initiate its metaversial bridge and bring a new digital era and unique meta experience you've never had before. A lot of buzzwords there. Woo, that's the SEO flying through. But yeah,
we've been talking about it. We have scan into a character.
Yeah, remember you could do that. Was it Splinter Cell? You could do that, right? You could scan your face in one of the Splinter Cells in the NBA 2K games.
NBA games, yeah.
We joke about it a lot because it's a pyramid scheme. But everybody calls it the metaverse, but there's a multiverse of metaverses, and none of them are linked in this case. So it's not a metaverse. They're not linked together.
What's frustrating to me is that everybody calls it the metaverse,
right?
Like the metaverse, and I mean, I swear that, am I wrong or like it wasn't. I mean, yeah, probably am.
Yeah.
I regularly find that I'm ignorant about one thing or another, but like I feel like before the Facebook event, nobody was using the term metaverse.
No, they were.
Were they?
VR
chat stuff was using metaverse, and if you were at all, and this is again, NFTs really were pushing metaverse from like 2 years ago.
Well, they weren't leaning into it that hard.
Not until now, because every
and then I feel like since Facebook used metaverse, everybody's like, oh, okay, it's an everyday term now. Time to use it.
It's really just it's a database. Here's we have an Excel file out there that we're calling the metaverse. By the way, I gotta watch that Excel.
Yeah, except
didn't
everybody's
watch
got
the
their
shit.
own fucking Excel file.
what I'm
I don't like
saying.
it's
That's what
so.
I'm
Oh,
saying.
it's so.
They got to watch the
Exactly.
XL
Yeah, the
Esport
esports.
League I posted. That
I'm
was
gonna want to
good.
check that out.
It was good.
But man, years ago we first started getting PR pitches for news for the blockchain games. Atari was at the forefront of those, surprisingly. Blockchain games, and I'm like, what is this? Is just this? It's so difficult to understand.
Still waiting for one, by the way.
Still waiting for
Yeah.
one, like 8 to 10 years later. It's so difficult to
Roblox.
understand that
It's not based on the blockchain.
exactly. It's just so bizarre.
They're
And-
literally. I mean, well, I don't want to I don't want to
Yeah.
lead too hard into it, but like, if there is not a better, like, just representation of why NFTs and blockchain are not required to do
Yeah.
what the
what they're saying.
what the environment is saying that they are for. How is like Roblox is the embodiment of like, why bother? Why do I need blockchain?
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. So Stalker 2, Metaverse, put your face in it. For some reason it's valuable. I don't know, man. Like, why does it have to be backed by the blockchain? Just give them your face and they'll
give 'em your
do it.
face.
Like, what's the difference? I don't-
Completely agree. Hey, we're on the same page, baby.
I don't get it.
I don't get
I'm
it.
confused.
And it makes me feel exceedingly old, and I'm totally fine feeling exceedingly old.
Why not?
Dude, you are old though.
I know.
Just understand that fact. The last thing that I wanted to touch on real quick was that our big time boy, our big friend, our fan, Dr. Disrespect has his new studio that he's launching.
Oh yeah, I heard
And it's
about
a new
this too.
AAA game studio called the Midnight Society.
Well,
He's launching
How
it
do
with
you-
Robert Bowling and Quinn.
How do you declare a AAA studio from the outset?
Yeah.
How does that work?
AAA.
okay, so to give the guy credit where it's due, he was a game designer before he was Dr. Disrespect.
Oh, was it really? Okay.
He worked on all the Call of Duty games up until like Modern Warfare 2. Like he was like the lead designer, like level designer, I think, for those games.
He doesn't. I'll put it this way: he doesn't not know how the industry works.
Yeah, he's definitely. He's definitely grown his teeth in it.
I don't know if he knows how to run a studio. He knows how they work. Anybody could make the argument one way or the other on it. He certainly hasn't. I would assume. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's been doing game dev on the side in his years of Dr. Disrespect. But
Hey,
who'd you say the person working with him is?
Sorry, it was Robert Bowling, who we know from Infinity Ward, kind of helped run Infinity Ward way back in the day.
So you used to
he's really cool.
work with.
By the way,
So-
Dr. Disrespect, he was a Call of Duty Modern Warfare streamer, and he got added to Sledgehammer Games back in. I'm reading the Wikipedia page. In 2011, he was a community manager, and then promoted as a level designer for Advanced Warfare.
Told you.
Yeah, so he wasn't. It was not Modern Warfare 2. It was
Okay.
after Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 to Advanced Warfare.
I knew it.
All right, I mean, so
know my
you-
Dr.
I will say-
Disrespect lore.
I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not trying to discredit him.
Right.
But he was a community manager and then a level designer for one game.
Hey.
And so, like I said, does he know how studios work? In one of the bigger ones, yes. And I'm just saying that that's different than being director, producer, owner of a AAA
It's going to
studio.
be an NFT blockchain Call of Duty. Where each
I'm just saying.
bullet
I mean,
you have to buy off the market.
where do we? How long does it take before we end up at 538 again? You know.
Literally, yeah. But
He's gonna
hey,
make you buy every bullet off
It's,
the market board.
it's interesting because you're seeing a lot of this. There are streamers being sucked into game development all the time. You have stuff like YouTuber's Life, which actually draws on streamer inspiration, hires a bunch of those folks. But for a long time, it was game journos bloggers. I'm just gonna say it straight up. Are some of our best friends, game bloggers and game journos that ended up working at companies like Microsoft and Nintendo and PlayStation and Activision, all these other
Typically,
companies. Yeah, that's the
typically
trajectory.
as writers, though.
Yeah.
I mean, in
Yes.
some cases, community moderation. In some cases,
Writers,
You know?
typically writers, they have gone on to other roles, like obviously Luke Smith, basically runs Bungie over there with all that.
Sure.
He went from he was a Halo fanatic, and then ended up like working on Halo, ended up working on Destiny. So, but yes, so you're seeing that now happen with a lot of other content creators, and I'm totally, you know what, I'm cool with it. He understands game development. It's interesting how they're saying like to your points, guys. They're launching with the AAA. It's a AAA studio immediately. Well, crap, guys. SideQuesting Games is a AAA studio.
That's my bigger thing is like, I have no problem with anybody, let alone Dr. Disrespect, coming out and being like, we want to start a game studio. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. It's a AAA game studio.
My height, so I don't have a problem with him at all.
Oh my god, he's short.
He's short. That's it for news. There isn't anything else really because it's been kind of a slower week since the Game Awards, and it's going to be slower for these next couple weeks here. I know there was a Nintendo Indie World Direct today, but there really weren't any new announcements. Just some stuff kind of coming and going. But I want to get into what we've been playing.
No, we're not skipping Roblox.
Okay? You want to talk Roblox?
We have to.
Okay, go ahead. Let's do Roblox.
All right. So there was a bit of a news drop on Roblox coming from People Makes Games.
Mm-hmm.
So People Make Games did a previous in-depth look into the practices of Roblox as a company.
They're naughty. They're bad.
They certainly don't look great. The original video was from August, so not that long ago. And then Roblox came out after the fact in the preceding months. And the only response to the video that they put out was, please take that down. And what that did was prompt them to go back into it. Roblox's stock is currently on a 10% slide, which, isn't huge when you're up like 25% for the year. But is noticeable over the past 3 days since the video came out. But yeah, I mean, it effectively illustrates the massive level of not my problemism that Roblox has taken towards its moderation.
Not my problem.
They have decentralized almost every facet of the game, from its moderation to the development of the individual games that that they effectively ask children to do, and
assets too,
and then the bigger thing is kind of, I don't want to call it a revelation because the information wasn't necessarily obfuscated, but maybe just not well known, which is there are tradable commodities within Roblox as a video game on a marketplace, very similar to the Steam marketplace, except that it's, no, I won't say except, in the very same way where if you trade items, you trade it for your Steam wallet, you can put dollars in and you trade Steam wallet cash. This is Robux. And if you want to buy an item, the price is market set. The items can come and go. They are limited release, limited quantity, and then market determined on their effective value long term. Brand names have been involved. Gucci was one that was outlined in the video. Content creators are involved using their license name and stuff. And, all of that doesn't sound inherently bad when, like I said, when we're describing Steam and the extremely, extremely large, marketplace that is. Also the adult-oriented games that they typically are attached to. It's a little different when it's a company that is marketed to and from a PR standpoint is made for children, which
Yes,
Roblox
correct.
is. They want the kids to be making games. They are clearly content with letting children manage how that they figure out how to do that as the requirements become increasingly more difficult. I highly recommend that anybody go watch the video. My only criticism would be that, like, you know, to it is not weird for a company to not want to be liable for the things that other people do on their platform.
Yeah.
What's weird
Right.
is when you enable so many things and so many difficult situations on a game that's oriented for children. That's where Roblox is truly kind of in a very precarious situation.
Yeah, so where it gets where it gets wrong is the way they market it to children. Like, you're going to learn skills to make a game, and you can make money off of this game. That's how they market this to the
Right.
kids. And what the kids don't know is there's teams of multiple people working on games for the platform, and the kids don't know that going into it, so they hit a roadblock at some point, and they're like, I need help, I need to get on a team or go help a different person to get more experience, blah blah. So you have that happening constantly because these solo devs who are like 12 are like, I'm going to make money on this game, and they don't. And then they get into these systems where they're able to be taken advantage of because Roblox doesn't keep the community on their website. They make them go to Discords or wherever else. So you have a bunch of situations coming out about that. And then you have kids who are like there's a kid in the video who's like, yeah, I made a game, I made money off of him. He made like $500, and he was trying to fix something in his game, and some kid in the Discord said, yeah, use this file and you can like fix it.
Ooh.
So he downloaded the file, and it just logged a cookie, and the cookie gave his password and stuff to that guy, and that guy stole all his stuff and just like left. And Roblox said, well, it didn't happen like through
Well, no,
our
Roblox said, well, your user is the one who did it.
yeah.
So unfortunately, there's nothing that they can do. And then they basically just kept replying like that until 30 days elapsed. And then when he submitted his last ticket, it's like, oh, well, this issue happened more than 30 days ago. There's no longer anything we can do.
Yeah. And then the kicker to that, which is what I originally said about assets, is that kid's game was made with assets uploaded by a different player that were stolen from another game. So the assets are just randomly uploaded by other players, and you could use an asset from a game that was stolen, and that would make your game go down. So that kid's game went down because like a texture he got from some random kid was from a different game that was already like it's bad. It's crazy. It's crazy that you can use a brick texture from a different game and be like, oh yeah, well, this is stolen, so now your game is going to get taken down because you used a texture from our website that we allow to be up. Like, it's just there's no moderation.
It's just wild.
It's wild. Yeah. Anyway, it's crazy. Like, yeah. And the reason why we haven't heard a lot about this stuff, I guess, until now is because it's primarily been kids, and like they do a good job of obfuscating all this stuff for the parents, for the adults. And I guess,
yeah, I mean, what it comes down to is parents, the only time a confirmation about age gating or anything like that is required is at the time when when money is transferred from US dollars or whatever currency you're playing in to Robux. Anything that happens outside of that requires no verification. So buying or selling items on the market, even making Robux from your game, none of that requires or if somebody wants to spend Robux within a game as a microtransaction, if money has already been entered into the ecosystem, no other checking is required.
Yep.
My guess is that there's a lot of settings by default which are probably best suited to make Roblox as much money as possible, and not necessarily to keep kids as safe as possible. And it's just coming to a head. But
It's stinky.
Yep.
if you want my honest impression about the way that this is going to go, people make games said that this is probably the last video that they're going to make on the subject. Given the pure market value of what's been happening with Roblox, I would expect that this is probably, as they say, a sale on the stock. If nobody else is going to pick up the reporting to keep the fire under them, the stock will bounce back.
It's true.
Nothing has changed about the value of Roblox inherently, and that's what is kind of tragic about it.
Oh,
but anyway,
you know what's not tragic is my
playing
horrible attempts at at moving things along. Actually, those are very tragic. Let's talk about the games we have been playing that are non Roblox.
All right, just not me first.
Not you first. All right, Zach, what have you been playing that's not Final Fantasy?
Okay, I have been playing Halo Infinite.
Yeah, baby.
That game is really good. It's that big blockbuster game that I feel like Xbox has been needing. I mean, Gears 5 is kind of that big like blockbuster kind of feel, but this is like, it feels like a next level sort of thing for Microsoft. Like it's different.
A next generation of Halo.
It definitely feels next gen. It looks next gen. It's just, it's an important game for Microsoft Studios, especially now. But yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised at how well it plays. It feels amazing. The main story is like tweaked. The gameplay is tweaked to such a level where it's like everything feels important. So you run out of ammo fast. You are switching guns fast. You're making decisions on the fly, and you always have to be on your feet and aware of what's happening. And them adding the grappling hook not only makes it fun for like combat, like pulling away Shackle's like shield to like shoot him in the head, or use it to grab a fusion coil and toss it at people, but just when you're exploring and having fun, you can use that grappling hook, just kind of go wherever you want. So it's really fun to, like, for example, there's mountains everywhere, and you can just look up and like you can just like hook up and hook shot up there and just keep kind of going over the mountain if you wanted to, or just like hook shot on like trees, or just, it's like there's a level of openness which is good for an open world game, that it allows you to just kind of do your own thing, and it's just really fun. I'm shocked at how it fits the Halo formula, like, because you'll just be walking around and then you'll stumble upon like a Halo level. It's like, oh, this is a Halo, this is like an open Halo like thing, cool, let's like fight these dudes. And then you'll walk, you'll find like a opening in the mountains. It's another Halo level. It's like these like whole things that you expect from the series, but in an open world concept with smaller little skirmishes and stuff. So it's just fun. Like, I love using all the guns and being like, oh, I'm gonna try this gun out and see what I can do. See if I can just use a pistol at this time, or like not get seen, or like, it's just fun to mess around, and it has that Breath of the Wild effect. Like, let's just see what I can do. Like, it's just it's pretty cool.
Sandbox Halo is something like, even when you look at Halo 1, 2, 3, which are the ones that I played the most of, what people would usually do is find the most expansive levels and then sandbox the individual levels, right? So like,
that was a blast,
when people look at like, oh, weird, so sandbox Halo, like, why are you Breath of, it's like, It was already that. They were just really big levels. And so it's not really that weird to think about transitioning it into that type of environment, because all it does is open up the options for you.
Exactly. One of my first Halo experiences ever was Halo. I think it was Halo. I had gone back to play Halo 2, and that first level, just running around, coming upon skulls and just kind of, knocking out dudes here. And it was a giant level size because they wanted to really introduce people to Halo 2. And it felt open world, even though I know it wasn't. It was just a giant ass level. And I think you're right. They've had this in their pocket the whole time.
Yeah,
but it looks so good.
What the game does really well is it'll send you on like missions like in a normal open world game, but it doesn't take away from that Halo experience. Like those really refined like corridor levels that you expect from Halo. It's gonna be like, hey, go in here and you need to hack this thing or get this thing, and it just turns into like, oh, this is this level from like Halo. It just feels really refined. The opening part of the game is really closed in, and it does an amazing job of with set pieces and just showing things exploding. And it feels like Titanfall 2. There's a part in Titanfall 2 where there's like a stadium crashing and you have to like platform around. It feels like that, the opening section. So it's really fun to have a Microsoft game be this kind of like huge AAA spectacle, and it just be fun to play, because like Sony's big games are story driven, kind of like, let's put a bunch of money into the cutscenes. This is like, let's put a bunch of money into this like tech and see what we can do with it. And it's just, and the game like looks really good. It looks good on consoles. It looks amazing on consoles. I'm kind of shocked.
It's what's really interesting about Halo is that from when they first showed the game 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago to today, the dev team 343 have done a phenomenal job. And yeah, granted, there's still some stuff that we're waiting on, Forge and some of the co-op, all that kind of stuff. But they've done a phenomenal job, not only addressing the issues that the fans were kind of calling out, but also understanding what they might call out later on, and then realizing, you know what, instead of trying to force this game out there, let's launch what we know is done, what we know is good. We can always update later on. It changes our plan, but it's worth it. And I think in this case, it really was worth it. I think they hit it out of the park with the multiplayer, because I've been playing that nonstop. And then I'm so looking forward to the campaign, even though I haven't played Halo campaign since Reach came out. So I've missed a couple. I think I haven't played 4, or did I play 4? Maybe I did play 4, but I didn't. I never finished Reach, and I didn't play 5 or Guardian.
Reach is actually a really good narrative playthrough.
What I did play of Reach, I love. I just never finished it. So
they literally kill off the bad guys from 4 and 5, and like a one-off comment, like, "Oh yeah, they're just gone." Okay, so like it doesn't
the Forerunners.
Yeah, there's there's not even a thing anymore.
My favorite Toyota, by the way, the Forerunner.
They keep their weapons though. There's Forerunner weapons. Isn't there?
There's none of them there. Like
I don't know, because I have not. I haven't played Halo 5, or at least I haven't played most of it. And I last played Halo 4 when it came out.
It's just all Covenant. It's basically like this ring is ran by a kind of like bastardized kind of like sect of the Covenant, who's ran by brutes, and they have this cult. It's this cult kind of overrunning this infinite ring. And that's just the story, is like, we need to kill Master Chief because he's gonna kill us. Like that's it's a really simple, like fun, like story. Like, hey, like the bad guy's super like over the top and like, oh, we gotta kill Master Chief. He's really like into it. He's got an amazing voice. But yeah, it's cool. It's good. It's like, and there's a fun story with the AI, who's not Cortana, but looks like Cortana, but it's not her.
But we swear it's not her. Halo.
It's crazy that we went from absolutely lampooning the first reveal trailer of Halo Infinite. I need to go back and find the original footage.
Yeah.
Like look at
they may have taken it down, because a lot of that kind of stuff.
It's somewhere, Dally.
It's
somewhere.
it's somewhere. If they didn't take it down, then somebody has it. But it happened this year, especially was the over. You either had the overshare year with Guardians of the Galaxy and everyone's saying, and Metroid Dread, which everyone's like, okay, stop showing us this stuff. We don't want to hear any more about it. Now you're ruining the experience. And the game's turning out to be wildly, well received in the end. To Halo Infinite, which was they kind of went quiet for a while. And then when they did release it, people were still a little iffy because some folks were upset that the multiplayer and the campaign were releasing separately. But they
Get over it.
So get over it. And
I mean, the reality was that they were going to be disparate systems anyway. I mean, like they were going to be, no longer linked, no matter how you looked at it. So
yep. Anything else you've been playing, Zach? But not Final Fantasy 14. We're going to save that for last.
That's it.
Okay, I'm going to hop in real quick because I've been playing a couple games. Two in particular that are Nintendo based. Obviously, I've been playing games on a bunch of different systems. Actually, let me say 3 projects that I want to talk about. The first two are Nintendo based projects. One is Ring Fit Adventure. Hop back into Ring Fit Adventure because I kid you not, it is after trying all different types of workouts, right? Because I'm a workout buff, and not like I'm not ripped like Ryan Gann, where I have like Hulk level muscles and crap. But I do like to keep in shape so I can actually get sleep and feel better. And I've gone for walks. We bought an elliptical. I did the Apple Fitness stuff, which is great, but there's no like feedback in a lot of these things. Ring Fit Adventure, and I'm in like the highest level Master Quest, like the 3rd and final quest in the game. Still is the best workout experience that I've had, where I'm not necessarily in pain afterwards, but I see my body turning into what I want it to be. And I guess is a weird way to say it. Like, and what I mean by that is when I was doing Ring Fit every day or every couple days last year before my back went out and all that kind of stuff, I was in the best shape of my life at 42 years old or 41 years old. I was in the best shape of my life. I was so happy. And then I stopped using Ring Fit Adventure and started doing more like weight training and elliptical and walking and jogging. And my body wasn't the same until I started using Ring Fit Adventure again a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks ago. And I'm feeling a lot better. So it's just, Nintendo did Ring Fit Adventure so well, and I highly recommend anybody who has a Switch, which I think is everybody on the planet at this point. Ring Fit's a lot of fun. It's a great RPG. It's 2 years old now. 2 years. It still sells like crazy. It's worth it. It does everything that the Wii Fit stuff did wrong. This does right. So, kudos to Ring Fit. I'm back on that shit. I also played. So my body was working well. Let me just say this. I have had zero time over the last week and a half, 2 weeks in the lead up to Christmas and the lead up to the New Year to play games because work shit. And I know Taylor has been suffering through a little bit. I know you too, Zach, with your new gig. So it's this time of year. You think you're going to have more free time, but you don't. And so everything I've had to do has been in smaller chunks. The second game is working not my physical body, but my mental body. And that's the Big Brain Academy, Brain versus Brain. I'm playing it single player.
This is how Dally hits 97 Switch games a year.
117 this year, baby.
Oh my God.
Again, I the only reason I did that was because I started playing all those old games again, just to log in that I played a game.
Sure, so just to log in, buddy.
Just to log in. Big Brain Academy, Brain vs. Brain. It is a the game was on sale for $15 yesterday. So pay $15 for this game. Don't pay the full $30 because I think it's actually retails for $30. Definitely get it if you can for cheaper. But it's just, it's just a nice way to get your brain functioning. I mean, you only have to play 5 minutes, 10 minutes of it at most. And then you feel like and it's more speed and looking at patterns and stuff that you're trying to do. But I'll do a 5 or 10 minute run and I'm done. It's it. I'm done for the day. I don't have to do anything. It's just a quick little thing to get my brain moving a little bit. It's kind of like coffee for the brain without actually drinking coffee. It just does that make sense, guys? What these types of games are? I mean, they're not games. They're just more let's jog your let's just pause. Let's just jog a little bit. Like they do a better job than like Sudoku, but and P Cross, which I love P Cross, but the Brain Age and Big Brain Academy, I think, do a better job of just jogging your brain a little bit. So, anyways, I've been doing that now. Whenever I'm like stuck in a meeting and my head's starting to drift, I'll just pick up the Switch and play that. Finally, the last thing, also, it's only about 15 to 20 minutes long, was the Matrix Awakens thing that I wanted to try out, the Unreal 5 experience. Did you guys get a chance to try that?
Did you do it?
Yeah. It is it's interesting because it starts off, it's like half video, half CGI. It starts off with Keanu coming in, and they switch back and forth between a video, like a 4K video of Keanu, and the Unreal Engine 5 version of Keanu. And we're still in that what's that valley that they call the
uncanny.
We're still in that because wow, is it jarring when you see Keanu with like he's got grays in his beard and he's real, and then like the next shot of him is like there's more hair in his beard and it's all like evenly colored, and you're like, wait a minute, that's the fake one. That's totally the fake. Oh, and he's moving very stiff, like it's that video game walk where you know they're gonna run into a wall and they keep moving their arms. That's how he and Carrie-Anne Moss's characters move in this. So there's still a lot of like really video game-y stuff in this, but it looks cool, and it's a 20-minute experience. It's worth downloading. I think it's like 20 gigs or something crazy, just to see the.
It's a shame they didn't put it on PC.
Yeah, right. Just to see what Unreal Engine can accomplish on a high-end console, and I think it's the first time that I really felt like, oh shit, this is the kind of stuff you can really only do when you have this horsepower, whether it's a PC or it's like a high-end console, because you're seeing, you can flip. There's a part of it is you can float above the city, and they did this entire city. Each one has, however many thousands of characters are walking around and cars are driving around. There's like trash rolling around in places. Everything's animated. You can turn on and off like levels of pixelation, rendering, some of the polygons, and do it all live. Go from day to night, zoom in, zoom out. It's really cool from that standpoint to see all this happen live. And yeah, it's just it's totally a tech demo. It reminds me of every other tech demo that's out there. This is Unreal Engine 5 and it's playable, and you can drive a car in it, and it's basically kind of what I imagine what Grand Theft Auto is going to look like in the next generation, this new generation of consoles, GTA 6. I got the car to 130 miles an hour, I think. But
did you guys know there was a new Grand Theft Auto 5 like online thing that was an extension of the main story with like the main characters and stuff?
Is it offline or online?
Online, and it's like
I heard about it.
It's a continuation of the story.
Yeah, it's like the GTA. Is it like the GTA 4 stuff that they put out that they're just kind of making it a separate story? Because they were like the GTA 4 DLC, right? The Ballad of
the Ballad of Gay Tony. And,
I think
it's just I heard about that randomly at like a couple. Anyways, because I just heard you say that. Anyway, so yeah.
Jog, remember? But I think this is kind of like this is the tech demo of Watch Dogs, right? Remember Watch Dogs? The very first time we saw Watch Dogs, everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is real life. You can hack shit. Everything looks so cool and real." And you find out it wasn't on like the 360. It was on the PS4 at the time, I think. And they scaled that down. This is like the feeling of when we first saw that. It's like, oh shit, this looks really cool. Oh, and it is playable, but it's still like a stiff character. So, anyways, make sure it's free. Download it, check it out if you're hyped up for the Matrix. It's just a cool tech demo. And that's all I've been doing. Taylor, I know what you've been doing. It's all you've been doing.
I've been playing a little bit of SMT5 too.
Oh, okay. All right. SMT5.
But that's just more like plucking away at like
That's what I've been doing too, just kind of plucking away.
The slow plot of the campaign for that.
The most popular, the highest selling SMT game in the
actually I was thinking about if we were going to bring up NPD numbers for news.
Oh, we did. And we could talk about that real quick. Go ahead.
That's not a hard thing to do. You have to sell like 100 copies, and you're pretty
Beating it.
Yeah, I mean, like, what was the highest selling SMT game before this? I couldn't even tell you. It's probably, I want to say it's probably 3.
I'll say 4, maybe.
Because
it was on the 3DS.
Yeah. Maybe.
I'm curious how this latest 3 remake or the update did.
The Nocturne. Seeing as how we didn't see it on anything, probably not that well.
Although again, Nintendo doesn't list digital games, and people buy.
Yeah, and it's so weird.
It is
because it's either like what I don't know. I was trying to come up with a justification for it, but like, is the discrepancy between your physical and your digital that embarrassing that you're just like, no, don't tell anybody? Like, is their digital store that bad? It's bad. Because I don't know if you guys have ever tried to buy something from Switch online on the console, but it's pretty bad.
It's so slow to.
It's so laggy. The fact that it exists in its current state is actually mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
As somebody that has previously worked for an e-commerce forward company, it is literally the death knell for an e-commerce to have something that operates.
It's done in HTML, basically, right?
No, if it was done in HTML, it would be faster than that. Guaranteed. Anyway, yeah, I have no idea. I'm not going to try and extrapolate. But anyway, I don't know. I thought the NPD was a little bit interesting this year, especially considering, or this month, because of looking at November numbers. We have the year-to-date kind of coinciding with the rolling 12-month.
Yeah. And
so we kind of get a really good look at what really sold last December. The standout for me was MK8, Mario Kart 8, is on the rolling 12-month, was number 5, which again does not include online. This is only physical. It was number 5.
Yeah.
Behind.
Yeah.
But it's so nutty. This is so nutty. Physical only. Mario Kart 8 was number 5 behind COD Black Ops, COD Vanguard, Madden 22, and Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. All 4 include physical and digital. And the other standout there for me is Miles Morales, because
that's a great.
That's only PS4, PS5.
People are probably excited about the new Spider-Man movie, so I also
that too. Yeah. But the NPD for year to date, it was a little bit more indicative, and where we have, Call of Duty. I called Mario Kart. Man. I called Mario Kart the monolith, but Call of Duty is the real monolith, because Black Ops Cold War, and then Call of Duty Vanguard, number 1 and number 2 for year to date. It's Madden insane. 22,
the same games over and over again. Yeah.
When are we going to escape the eternal torment? MLB The Show 21, Resident Evil Village. That's actually
crazy.
Which part?
Resident Evil 4. On number
Resident
4. Yeah.
Resident Evil Village bucked a huge trend that's been plaguing the series for a few games in a row. Although, 7 kind of was starting to bring it back. But 5 and 6 had kind of created a really big lull, and Village really did a lot of good. The fact that if you look at year to date, and in November, 3 of the top 10 were all brand new titles. Mm-hmm. Call of Duty Vanguard, Battlefield 2042, and then Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl.
Pokemon Brian.
Pokemon Brian. But yeah, there's a not that much overlap of year to date compared to rolling 12 month. Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is number 9 in year to date, which again is still pretty good for a single platform game. I think it's, other than Super Mario 3D World, number 7, physical only. Like, and then Pokemon, obviously both Switch only. The fact that Pokemon is new for the month and broke out at number 8.
Yeah.
How do you?
But again,
how do you
that's
deal with that?
see, for me, that's wild because they said the numbers were astounding for Pokemon, but I really believe that the Switch is the shift on the Switch is moving towards digital games for a lot of these games.
Yeah, I mean,
This is show up in any of the NPDs,
right, and that's what is
Yeah.
so this is what's astronomical. So like
Yeah.
me, I would say I'm 95% digital only.
Mhm.
I have 3 carts, one of which is Ring Fit Adventure, and that's because that's the only way you can get it.
Well, we can get it, yeah.
And my other 2 are like I think Final Fantasy 12 and
SMTV, baby.
and SMT5. That's literally the only games that I have.
I
in
call it
physical.
SMTV because that sounds cooler.
That's fine. But anyway, yeah, I don't. I thought the like I look at NPD numbers every month, and I've just that year to date and then the rolling 12-month break was just particularly interesting to me.
It's the I wish Nintendo was much more, like you said, I wish they were much more forthcoming, forthright, whatever.
If only
forward with their actual sales numbers for the month, at least understanding the digital versus physical breakup of, because that helps. And I'm sure developers, like the big publishers, can probably get that data.
Everybody wants to know. It's not just a consumer thing.
But the big developers and publishers probably get that from Nintendo, so they can kind of plan their shit. But
any publisher putting a game, they get that data directly, so they know.
Yeah,
they will know.
Yeah, but you may, if you make a if you're making what's the it's not saying it. What's the Saints Row? If you're putting Saints Row, considering putting the new Saints Row on the Switch, and you look at memory, and you're looking at like sales data versus from digital to physical to cloud. Nintendo doesn't break that data up to anybody. I don't know if cloud sales are doing well on Nintendo. They're probably not. I mean, I'm sure they're not. But how are they in relation to digital sales on the PS4 for Guardians of the Galaxy, right? And because that helps helps companies plan for what content they can put out there, and it really helps the industry plan. And Nintendo does not want to give that out.
This is the reason why Persona 5 Royale isn't on the Switch.
Yeah, no,
we're lacking that data. Yeah, there's no way to know.
There's no way to know.
Although
NPD stuff
November 2021 spending fell 10% compared to a year ago.
That's the part supply issues. Oh my god!
Yeah,
holy cow!
That's just for video games spending. Yeah. Consumer spending overall, I think is it's just lower. It's just it's really bad.
It's better. There's supply constraints, which is letting up right now, actually, because store shelves are starting to recover a little bit. We were at Target. I was at Target earlier today on the drive home from work to pick up something, and they were actually pretty well stocked at our local Target. And so they were so well stocked.
To put it in perspective, video game hardware. So obviously, you were talking about consoles here, is down almost 40%. And accessories is down 20%. What we're seeing is the supply chain shortage and chip shortage driving the console sales being lower, which drives accessories lower, because if you sell less consoles, you need less accessories. That's just. However, video game hardware is up 20%.
Oh, really?
So what we're seeing is just a change driven just by the sheer dollar value of the consoles as they exist right now. However, video games
really happy.
Video game sales.
Video
game sales is up 9% overall, 20% in hardware, 4% in accessories, 8% in video game content. What is scary here to me So video game content includes
Skins.
DLC, console, cloud, mobile, portable, etc.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Video game hardware is up 20%. Video game sales, which video game hardware is included in, is only up 9%. And video game content is up 8%. So what that means is the actual dollar value of what video game content is, specifically DLC, microtransactions, and digital games, encompasses such a larger value overall of that composition that like video game hardware is a drop in the bucket.
That's why stuff like Game Pass is so important. That's why Steam digital sales are so important.
Yeah, how do you even capture Game Pass in these equations? I have no idea.
So I was going to ask, where does Forza fit on the list?
So Forza is on the Xbox list.
Okay, but it's not on the overall top 10.
But it's on the overall top 10.
Okay. Because in a pre-Game Pass era, Forza would have been in the top 10. But because you would think so, you can't measure that. Like you said, it's difficult to measure. But Microsoft is like, we're measuring it right now, baby.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I mean, it was for November. Forza Horizon 5 was number 3 behind COD Vanguard and Battlefield 2042.
Okay,
which isn't like, and that in of itself isn't that bad. But yeah, I mean, how does Game Pass affect it? How does it fit in? We don't know those details. It's very difficult unless they tell us.
I will say one thing. Back to Call of Duty being such a freaking juggernaut that we heard
Warzone saving the entire IP, by the way.
Yes. We heard about Battlefield months prior than we heard about Call of Duty. And Call of Duty was revealed within Warzone in like end of August or something crazy like that. And it's the number 1 seller this year. And it blew Battlefield out of the water. And that shows you just how huge Call of Duty is. A game that was just announced like a couple months ago destroyed a competitor, or beat out a competitor that was announced 2 months prior, and it had all the build up and all that. So it's a wild, still a massive IP. Yeah.
What's also crazy to me is that if you exist in specific bubbles, Battlefield 2042 was a flop.
Yeah.
Because it baited poorly. Or I should say that the reception to the beta was poor. Mm-hmm. The overall launch was relatively poor. Mm-hmm. In terms of consumer response. If I checked the Metacritic Battlefield 2042, I just want to take a quick sneak peek. The user score is 2.2. So it's very easy sometimes to like really get stuck inside these types of bubbles of hyper, like, I don't want to say like I'm not like hyper aware, but certain Twitter, Reddit, game forums, etc. very much perpetuate the early adopter response. That you look at NPD numbers and it just doesn't matter. I mean, Battlefield is still number 2 to Call of Duty Vanguard for November. It still debuted this month and is now the number 6 for the entire year for NPD sales. Like 2.2 user rating doesn't matter. Not for this generation, at least. Maybe it matters for the next one. We'll see. But it's going to take an entire next game cycle. DICE isn't going to be hurting for funding for the next game, at least. Not, I would assume not. I don't know what the budget is, but the only thing I didn't mention was the November game numbers, where just to kind of distill it instead of looking across the whole year. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, number 3. So it could not beat Call of Duty Vanguard, Battlefield 2042 for the month. And Forza Horizon 5 does show up here as number 4. So it did well. Forza definitely is doing well. Also, Mario Party Superstars number 6. It was number 8 last month, so it actually sold even more. I'm guessing that's probably holiday spending uptick.
Holiday. People getting to play family stuff for the holidays. Sure.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8 is number 12. It will never go away.
Always.
And that game is, and again, amazingly, those are box copies that Nintendo probably still has like 200 million box copies of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because those arrive digital on the Switch. It's on those Switch bundles. So it's just so crazy to me. So crazy. Well, NPDs.
Yeah,
Switch,
just last thing. Shin Megami Tensei 5 was number 16 on the month.
Oh, that's awesome. Good.
Which is pretty respectable for a particularly niche game. Interestingly, that one does not have the asterisk for digital sales not included.
Oh, really? Interesting. So maybe that data comes from Sega.
That one came from it might have come from Atlas Sega as opposed to
Atlas for Shin Megami Tensei games. They are notoriously known for short printing that series. So if they would have just gone off like physical sales, there probably wouldn't be anything compared to what they got. So
yeah, and I think that there was probably some people in the marketing PR section saw that they had a chance to hit an NPD number to make a headline about best selling, and so you don't miss that chance. You put in the fact that this is the best launch. You want to hit top 20 NPD, and you take that chance when you can.
Yep. The one thing I want to hear now that we know the Switch outsold the other consoles, I want to know the breakdown of SWOLED sales, because I go into Best Buy and there's stacks of the SWOLED. There's hardly any of the Mario Kart 8 version, which, to be honest, if I was going to tell anybody if they didn't have a Switch, I'd say get the Mario Kart 8 version, because you get
the game.
Awesome game with it. But I'd love to find out how many actually of those sold, because I think that is only selling to the people who are hardcore, either collectors or Nintendo fanatics that have to own. Like, I don't think there's an average person isn't going to buy that. They're going to buy that Mario Kart 8 version, because the same thing that I've been telling people, I'm sure sales folks are telling people, is that there's going to be a more powerful version coming out in the next year or so. So why bother buying this one right now when you're going to have to spend it again? So I don't know. But I think we have October numbers, but not November of the SWOLED. Okay.
Yeah.
Breakdown.
So in October, Switch sold 711,000 units. 314,000 were OLED.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right. That's a good number.
So that's almost half, which are pretty good considering the price
month. So
it is launch month. Yeah.
Yeah. Considering the uptick of price. So the question will be, do we get to see November and December numbers because of holiday?
Right.
And
probably
that's going to be whether or not Nintendo has good months on whether or not we see those numbers.
I mean, we know they had a really good month, but will they have a good month?
Right. I mean, I'm talking about specifically about SWOLED. If SWOLED didn't, my guess is that the cutoff would be something between 35 and 40%. If it didn't maintain 35 to 40% of overall Switch sales, then they probably will not release those numbers. If it does that or more, then they probably will release those numbers.
That's a good point.
But that's just my guess. Obviously, I don't know.
But good month. You couldn't. I will say this: you couldn't find I didn't see PlayStations anywhere, because I went out shopping just to kind of do. I didn't see any PlayStations anywhere. I saw tons of Switches. I saw a fair amount of Xbox Series S consoles. I didn't see any Series X or PS5s in stores, but the other stuff I saw. So yeah,
I will never not. I will not cease to be just wowed by the state of most of things. So I don't know. Really, I just don't get it. But then again, like I said, I'm in a particular position where I have a PC that plays all these games. So
exactly.
I am lucky.
You
anyway.
Speaking of a game that you've been playing,
Yeah.
Both of them. I'm giving
Well,
you guys. Go
last
ahead.
thing, I actually have also been playing Ring Fit Adventure.
Yeah, you did
I got
briefly mention that. Yeah, yeah.
I got back into it too.
Okay.
Similar to you, Dally. It is, in terms of games or
Uh-huh.
games and fitness stuff, that is easy to drop in a very limited
Yeah.
amount of time.
Yep.
It's up there, and you can
You
target whatever you want in that short amount of time that you have.
what I like about Ring Fit Adventures, whenever I do like and I sorry, get back on it. I'll play like I'll do like an Apple TV workout, whatever. I'll do a guided workout on YouTube. I feel like I'm working out. When you play Ring Fit, you feel like you're playing a game.
I
And I
feel
think
like,
that's
yeah,
to me.
it's weird. Like, mentally, I'm like, man, I gotta help this man beat this dragon,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like, it's silly that makes as much of a difference as it
It
does.
really does. It
But I'm
does.
like, I'm willing to plank for this man.
I'm,
I'm not willing
I'm
to
willing to
plank
plank
for.
for this
I'm
man.
not willing to plank for the person
I
on
gotta write
Apple
that. That's a
TV.
beautiful. I'm willing to plank for this man. Beautiful. Are you willing to
Uh,
plank for Storm Chaser and Walker stuff?
oh, and
Yeah.
more.
All
So you
right.
both have played
Oh.
it. You both have completed it.
So
It's done.
let me preface this by saying,
I'm
no
giving you guys a
matter
whole 3.5 minutes. No, just kidding.
no matter what they were going to give us, I was going to be happy. Like I was going to be like, this is good. Like I love it.
Unless something truly terrible
Truly,
happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Unless
no matter what
NFTs were involved.
happens,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So no matter what happened, I was going to be happy. But what they gave us is like an incredibly special story that is very emotional, very introspective, very I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it's not something I was ever expecting to come out of this last expansion. Like it blew my expectations away. It surprised me every minute I played it. I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, and it just has this writing that like brought me to tears multiple times and just made me actually think about my own life, like outside of this game. Like, think about things I've been through or things other people have been through in life. It's just it's special. It's like it's like they could have easily just been like, yeah, let's do what we've always done and nailed it, but they decided let's go above and beyond what we usually do, and it's just yeah, they made something special. Like and it's incredible to think that it's like a 10-year long journey that ends with this this conclusion that on one hand is its own story, but also makes everything you've done prior have even more meaning. And it's like, and it also reiterates that in your life too. There's a lot of things where it's like this, your life, you've been through things, you've prospered too, like you've done in this game. And it's just amazing. Like I don't know any other way to say it. Yeah, it really just knocked me on my ass. Like it's amazing. So that's kind of all I have to say.
Well,
But
let me hear what Taylor has said. Then I do have a couple questions for you guys. Taylor.
So I managed to rush in and finish it.
You went flying into Final Fantasy over the last month.
Yeah, I mean, because I took a break, and that break was clearly too long. Because it was between, I guess it was between Heaven's Word and Stormblood. I took a break because Heaven's Word was good, but not as good as the later ones. And so I was just like, man, I am glad I am done with Heaven's Ward. And then I broke for probably like a month, maybe more. And then Stormblood was like, oh, this is good again. And except then it was like, oh, I don't have enough time to finish this and one more expansion and then be ready. And then they delayed it for 2 weeks. And then I think I was only like 36 hours behind finishing Shadowbringers before going into Endwalker, which is pretty good. And I think that's just a normal person amount of delay. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's a story conclusion. It's like where they took, we've seen a couple of sequels in the Final Fantasy legacy so far. Final Fantasy X, 10-2, 13, 13-2. There's a couple other little side sequels, like Final Fantasy 12 got a sequel on the DS, I think.
Yeah.
This is like if
Revenants of something earlier.
Yeah, I forget what it was. It was a very okay game. I played it.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is like if they took one of your favorite Final Fantasy games. It's like, okay, we're just going to give you 5 sequels. And they all were better than the last one that you played. I am probably of the opinion that they get better as time goes on, I think. I don't think that any of them are worse than the ones that preceded them, in my opinion. No. I think they all get progressively better. It's certainly more interesting.
Everything in these games just goes up like this. Everything is just like constant, like increasing quality always.
And a large part of it is because, or at least I think it's because of it being an MMO and the amount of the wealth of information that comes from being an MMO. And I don't just mean wealth of information because of systems, but because of content that gets added to the game, the amount of text that they write, the dialogue that gets introduced tends to eventually end up being exponential. And what that does is that if they are willing to continually reference the vast amount of information that has been input into the game in a thoughtful and nuanced way, you end up with a product that is inevitably a product which is greater than the sum of its parts. And I think that is kind of the true legacy of Final Fantasy Final Fantasy XIV as an MMO. I mean, and Endwalker was amazing. I think that in 10 months that I've been playing it, Zach, when did I first tell you that I was playing with it?
10 months, wow.
I'm trying to figure out when I first signed up for Final Fantasy XIV, or at least to play it again. But it was maybe April. Oh God, I don't even know how I would check this out. Yeah. It's been somewhere between 8 to 10 months to play through the entire story of it, which is probably the equivalent of like 200 hours.
Okay.
I want to say, give or take. That might be undershooting it a little bit. There are entire systems that, as I have completed the story and filled out some side quests, it's like, oh, did you know that this existed in the game? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I was trying to do the story, dog. I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, it's the kind of stuff that, like, hey, you're playing an MMO. Did you want to do this? And I'm like, no, I'm here. I'm a story slave. And I didn't know it existed. And I found a lot of things that exist like that. I don't know. It's save for time investment and monetary investment because of the time investment, because it's monthly service required. It's hard not to recommend it if you are a person that likes rewarding story-based RPGs. It is quite possibly at the precipice in some regards for it.
Oh.
I told this to a buddy of mine the other day where I was like, I'm pretty sure that Final Fantasy XIV stands above all the rest of them in terms of story delivery. And he was like, I don't know what to do with this information. I was like, well, I would recommend you play Final Fantasy XIV. But
Yeah,
Play
no,
that.
that's what I've been saying for years. Like I've been like, dude, like this is the best Final Fantasy's ever been. People need to play it. We're like, it's an MMO. Why would I play it? It's like, you
It's an
gotta
MMO,
trust me.
dog. Yeah.
Just like it, there's literally never been writing this good in Final Fantasy ever. Like ever. There's no other game that comes close. Like I'm trying to think. There's
12,
nothing.
12 is close at moments,
Yeah.
but like in the way that like 12 and a lot of the other Final Fantasies are written for specific, like scene by scene.
Yeah.
It feels like Final Fantasy 14 is written story by story. I don't know like how to really put this into words exactly, but the canvas of the writing of the story for 14 just feels much larger than the other Final Fantasy games. Like Final Fantasy, I mean, yes, Playland, Final Fantasy 6 is very good, but think about the amount of time that as you progress through Final Fantasy 6, and like I said, my personal favorite other than 14 is Final Fantasy 12, the amount of time that you progress and there's not writing and there's not like story. You could argue that the games are more interesting or better because the story progresses through the things that you are doing specifically, not through exposition, which has been written for you. But Tactics doesn't count. That's not a main Final Fantasy game. But I do agree that Tactics is very. It is particularly strongly done. But
Play
yeah, I don't know. Final Fantasy 14 is just different. It is.
Yeah.
The story is a more of a major player in your experience to it
Right.
compared to other ones.
Because like in other Final Fantasy games, it's like I need to grind so I can level up, so I can fight this boss and go to the next story beat. In
Sure.
Final Fantasy 14, you walk to an NPC, get the story, you get that experience points, and then you go on to the next part. And sometimes the quest would be like, "Hey, go kill this thing," and that's a part of it. But you never have to sit there and grind to get to the story. The story is the experience if you just want to play the thing as a single player story. And it cuts out all the fat of a JRPG story. Like, it's just like, hey, here, like if you want to experience this, go. Like, because you don't have to worry about grinding, you don't have to worry about anything else. You can just play as a single player game and turn off your PS4 after playing the story, and that's it. Like,
And the other part of it is just that like there is story to every bit of it. Like there is no in the sense of like the quote unquote throwaway side quest. All of it is real and applicable to a character that you have or will interact with inevitably. For 14.
It's a living, breathing world, and like every person you encounter, you're gonna hear about them, or like if there's like a person in a city that you talk to, the other NPCs are gonna reference that person at some point because they're a living, breathing character inside this spot, inside this city. And even with this new expansion, with like there's references constantly to characters and things that you've helped over the years or over the expansions that pay off because it's like, oh, I remember this person I helped and they're helping me now. So there's a huge payoff with these living, breathing characters that are just kind of doing their own thing in this world while you're adventuring and stuff. And it's a huge emotional payoff. It's a very satisfactory feeling. Something I've never felt from another game, I think, ever. It's just like this like huge satisfaction of like a complete story that I was involved with from the get-go, seeing it to come to a conclusion, seeing it satisfactorily ended. It's a very unique thing. I don't
Cool.
I would compare it to like binging a Netflix show or something, right? Like that's
Yeah,
like how you would have
okay.
to
literally.
look
I think that's the main
Interesting.
reason why I haven't really played it since is because like you ever read that
When did
really
you guys
good
when did you complete it? When did you guys both like complete the game?
I finished it
Saturday for me,
Okay.
the 11th. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to hold on. Let me check my DMs for when I sent the I think I actually put it in the game chat as well about being 12:13. So that was I finished it on Monday.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because I went to bed really late on Monday,
I know those
and then
feelings.
went to bed really early on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I finished it on Monday night.
Excellent.
Dude, like,
So here's what I'm going to ask you guys, because I want to spend 45 minutes on this game. But it's the thing of Final Fantasy 14 that always has not weirded me out or anything, but it has been unexpected to me, is how you mix a massive story into an MMO. From the beginning of Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy 11, when I played that game, there was story, but it was, and same with WoW. There's like maybe story, but it's more about like you're going off on little raids and quests. At least when I was playing them, that's what it was like.
yeah,
This game, you hear more about the story and the plot and the character interactions with each other than you do about the actual gameplay mechanics. And I love that about Final Fantasy 14. Is that like how you guys are approaching this game?
So
Because all you ever talk about is this
so I
story,
here's my I have a strong take on this, which is the reason why I wanted to jump in. And this is the other side of what makes Final Fantasy 14 so strong, but flies under the radar of the kind of overwhelming juggernaut, which is the story, which is the fact that when they chose to make it for PS3 until it was deprecated, then PS4, there are specific gameplay development choices that they made, but they made all of the right ones for how this game plays.
Okay.
So the reason why you don't hear anybody talk about how amazing it is to play is because it's, I don't want to call it perfect, but it's just right. The rotations are optimized, simple yet deep, and good to play. If you don't want to, if you feel that a specific class isn't to your liking, you don't have to re-roll a character. You level up the different class. So they just, when they remade it for Final Fantasy 14 2.0 with A Realm Reborn, and went with this method of one, although I think the original was also one character, but for this style of, pick your class, level it up, they all are somewhat similar in the fact that they have easy to access rotations, but are still deep to master and play. And what that creates is a game that, is it's a fun to play MMO. I got to level 60. I was literally talking to Zach, and he was like, "Oh, I was lamenting about like, hey, I don't think I like playing monk." He was like, "Oh, you should just play dancer," and then I did, and then I've played dancer since then. And you can just do that. I think that most people don't talk about it because it has become such the underlying assumption that you're just going to enjoy playing the game.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I play on a high end level. Like I raid, I do all the stuff. Yeah, like I don't talk about it because it's just nerd shit, It's like I'm not gonna talk about, the cooldown for this move is different from this expansion to this expansion. Like like that really isn't,
that stuff exists, but like
but
it doesn't.
it exists, but it doesn't matter really.
It doesn't
like
really change much.
Yeah. So it's like, to the normal person, I'm gonna be like, play the story, it's fun, and you can just play and mash buttons if you want to and get through the story, fine, whatever. But yeah, like if you want to get into the systems, you want to get into the mechanics of it and get into the grittiness, it's a rewarding and amazing game on that level too. It's always been that way, and it's just kind of always just getting better. They keep condensing it, but making it, it's not like taking away stuff, it's just making it meatier. So the combat keeps getting like, they just keep changing it up. It's so sick. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, it's slower than WoW, but hey, whatever.
It's slower than WoW until you have
A bunch
800
of-
things 800 things to avoid on the ground. Like, yeah, your global cooldowns are slower, but when I can't, when sometimes I can't remember to press all the buttons because I'm moving so much anyway, it doesn't feel that slow. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Yeah, there's these like red spots that pop up on the ground that show where a thing's gonna attack, and the bosses will start like they're just like it's like hard mode, dance, evolution. Sometimes just like you're moving, like going crazy, and yeah, the boss fights are fun. Like it's just a good ass game. Like, I don't even know like how else to describe it, dude. It's like just something that you
There's
have to play. And I've been having
yeah,
this talk with people for years, and it's just
there's a level of presence required to do even to like the dungeons
oh, yeah.
that is not there for. I mean, unless you're like progressing for
you guys are
mythics
both
and
playing
stuff
on
like that.
PC, right?
Yeah.
It plays great on console. The controller
However,
is
switch
great.
back
I
and
know.
forth? Can you switch back and forth? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, your progress is the same. The only thing is that I think that you have to purchase it for both is the only downside. But I mean, I've seen people that are like, yeah, I want, I prefer playing, I prefer playing on with controller, like even on PC, and that's totally realistic. I would expect that it's going to be the same for Final Fantasy 16.
I just
think
clicked this button, guys. I just clicked this button. You did it to me.
I mean, listen, guess what, Dally? You get to play for free until level 60, all the way through the critically acclaimed Heavensward expansion.
Nice.
You get to talk to the dragons.
Can't wait to talk about this game for the next 4 years as I'm trying to play.
Dude, like I'm literally saying this game is perfect for you because it's the perfect pickup and play game.
And that's what I'll end up doing is I will just like hop in for like I'll be all into it for a week and then it'll fade away for like a month and I'll come back into it, be into it a week and it'll fade. That's just
wait till you. I mean, Steam Deck. You set up the control. See.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'll say once we get the Steam Deck, I've already looked into it. There's some Linux distros that you can use to, if you do the PC specific version, if you do the Steam version, it's obviously that's going to work right off the bat. But it has controller built in. Steam Deck has the controller.
I use the controller to craft and gather and all that. So like,
oh why? Because
it just feels good. I don't know. I just like to sit back and like.
You only need like 4 buttons anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean. Yeah, whatever.
Well, you know what, we could talk forever, and I'm sure you guys would talk forever about it. But Endwalker lived up. Not only did it live up to your expectations, it surpassed them from what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be expecting. I'm going to be expecting this to be probably on your GOTY lists in some area when we talk about it either next week. I know Sam said let's do it next week, but maybe the week after. Maybe we'll do it between Christmas and New Year. We'll do our big GOTY, our GOTY show because I guess
maybe 28th, 29th time. I can see that.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Screw you, Sam. Walker. Until then, I want to say, guys, it's been an hour and 43 minutes. It's been fantastic.
It hasn't felt like it, Dally.
You know what? We're halfway there, as we say when we talk about the Game Awards, and you guys have almost lasted an entire Game Awards show. That's why you just should have joined us last week. You can find us in the future and now on sidequesting.com, sidequesting TV all over the place, sidequesting on Twitter. I definitely want to thank you guys for chatting tonight as usual. It's good to miss you for a couple weeks, so it's good to get back into it and look forward to chatting more. Have yourselves an awesome upcoming hectic crazy week prior to all the holidays just kind of ramming into us, and so I hope you guys get some. Yeah, Zach's just shaking his head. He knows it's gonna be hell over the next week. It's gonna be crazy. Yep, I hear you. But Zach, where can we find you, my friend?
Okay, Quest on Twitter, right
there. Oh, you got it. Beautiful. Taylor, same
thing. Right
okay,
there.
Quest on Twitter for Taylor. See, it's good.
Yeah, that's right. Send all your tweets for me to that handle.
All your hate tweets. And you can find me right there with my There we go. Because the thing was in the way. I gotta get this. Whatever. Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's a good one. Please add worst game of the year too. It's not a bad idea. Yes, we're gonna do the game of the year show for SQ. Yep.
Yeah,
worst
too
game of the year.
easy.
We have some ideas. Yep. Begins with an N and ends with Ickelodeon. Also, no, just kidding. No, just kidding. We love you guys and gals and pets and whoever else is viewing this and listening. See you in the next episode of the SideQuest. We love you. Bye-bye. Take care. I'm trying to come up with a new cool thing. Like, see.